Rod Association produced show, and it's going to be wild. Hello, everyone. I'm Larry Huffman, and with me to call the action, Margot King. Margot, the monster trucks are known all over the world, but a lot of people are here tonight to see the mud bog, and there are two different classes.
Two different classes, and boy, do they have some mud to try to get through tonight. The modified class, trucks that could be used in normal street use, 400 to 700 horsepower. And then the open class, 1,000+ horsepower, and I think they're going to go over the mud instead of through it.
And we got a bunch of monster trucks, too. We've got Barefoot and Frankenstein and Monster Vet and more. It's going to be a wild night of racing. So stay tuned for round one of the U.S. Hot Rod Association Battle of the Monster Trucks and Mud Bog Drag Racing Spectacular. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Omaha Civic Center. We go now to the monster trucks, and this is Little Barefoot out of North Conway, New Hampshire.
Don't let that small body S10 fool you. Underneath there, he's got a blown Chevy big block, a 454 Ford to 460.
Look at the crowd stand up for this, and here we go with Barry Packard's machine. Little Barefoot, he sets up for the cars. Holy Toledo, way up in the air and slams down on the last one. Margot, good run so far.
One of the disadvantages of being first, you are the one to flatten out those cars, and that can send you straight up.
Now remember, he is on the clock now. Little Barefoot's got to make it all the way around to the start-finish line before the clock finishes, and that's the time the other cars have to beat. Let's take a look back at Little Barefoot. The first run of the day, perfectly centered, a 30.45 second clocking, Margot.
And that's not a bad time considering he made the first run. The cars are not flattened out, and that sets him up in a wheel stand.
We go to the second machine, the Lone Ranger, Gary Bauer, the driver. Now, the cars are going against the clock. They are not racing against each other. In other words, not side-by-side competition. The Lone Ranger has got to beat the time of Little Barefoot, 30.45 seconds.
Now, he started off hard, but remember that he is nursing a brand new motor, so he's going to take it easy. He doesn't want to blow that baby up when it's brand new.
It is a fully blown 466 cubic inch Ford engine. Sets up for the cars. The Lone Ranger, Vienna, Ohio. Up in the air, getting a little sideways. That's going to cost a second or two as he makes his way over the cars. Again, he's got to beat 30.45 seconds.
You can see him really nursing it out. He was making sure he wasn't going to over-rev that motor after he took the car.
Don't blame him at all. That engine will blow, and it's like a $10,000, $15,000 engine for a minor repair job. Let's take a look back at the slow motion for the Lone Ranger. Comes up. Now here's where he gets a little bit sideways, a little crooked, comes over, and that's going to cost him a second or two, or maybe three. 35.74. That's over 5 seconds slower than Little Barefoot. The Lone Ranger rides off into the sunset. This is Frankenstein. It's a 1954 Ford pickup with a small block 302 cubic inch GMC engine.
Cliff Starbird out of Mulvane, Kansas. One of the few drivers here that is a professional monster truck builder, not only a driver.
12,000 pounds, weighs about 6 tons. And it's wider. Now let's see, as we can see it as it comes around, you can see how much wider it is. The other machines, look at that, about a foot wider. Sets up the cars, comes on, gets sideways. The crowd responded. They love pickups, especially early Ford pickups. Wobbling quite a bit, the suspension taking a beating. Got a good run going so far. Comes around, hits for the finish line. Wait a minute. Oh, he stalls. Recovers. That's going to cost him the time. Frankenstein, beautiful yellow pickup, waves to the crowd. Let's look back at him now. Comes up. Again, he gets sideways. The time, 37.27 seconds.
Now, along with being more stable with that wide wheelbase, it also makes hitting those cars directly perfect very important.
Crucial. We go now to Big Toe. Perkowski, Ray Perkowski, the Polish rifle out of St. Louis, Missouri. Let's see what this guy can do. Beautiful machine. He's got to beat 30.45 seconds. Larry Huffman and Margot King calling the action from the Omaha Civic Center. Here is Big Toe.
Now, Big Toe weighs in at 20,000 pounds. That's 5,000 pounds heavier than the rest of the competition.
Well, you can sure see that weight, too, when he slams down on the cars, Margot.
He needs some heavy-duty suspension when you weigh that much more.
Again, he's trying to beat 30.45 seconds. Comes around, spins around, heads for the finish line. Big Toe, 79 Ford. Tow truck. A good run, or a little slower. Let's take a look back and see what happened. 36.38 seconds for Big Toe. Slows way, way down.
He kind of moseys over the car.
Like the Hulk Hogan of monster trucks. Here we go with, this is an interesting machine. It's called Monster Vet.
And Cliff Starbird is back driving it, another one of his creations.
It's a beautiful machine. A Corvette funny car monster truck. And there he goes, and he looks like a Corvette getting off the line. Monster Vet slams into the dirt, spins around, beautiful candy-colored paint job on it.
And you'll be able to see when he hits the cars how the body of this car just bounces all over the framework, but it's specially designed to take the impact that way.
Beautifully built machine. Hits the dirt, spins around now. He slows for just a moment. He's got to beat 30.45. I think he's got it beat. A good run for Monster Vet. Taking a look back. Comes up. Look at the body. Like you said, the body flexes. The time, beautiful time. Holy Toledo, look at this. 24.37 seconds. And this is Nightlight. Dave Wyzorek. It's a 1977 Chevy step-side pickup. Oh, he's getting right in there and then stalls. He pushes the other car over. That's going to cause a problem, Margot.
That's right. As soon as he hit the front wheels down on that end car, he pushed it away and he almost got hung up in there.
454 blown, fuel-injected, big block Chevy engine. Let's take a look back at Nightlife. Margot, that's where he had his problem. Pushes it out.
Exactly.
24.67 seconds. That's the second best time, even though he had some problems with the last car. So the round one scores. Monster Vet wins it with a 24.37 second clocking. He advances to the final round. Nightlife second, 24.67. Little Barefoot, 30.45. The Lone Ranger, 35.74. Big Toe, 36.38. And Frankenstein rounds it out, 37.27 seconds. We'll be right back to the Omaha Civic Center with a second round of the Battle of the Monster Trucks, so don't go away. Monster trucks, a phenomenon all to themselves, but they're not just pickups with big wheels. Earlier, Margot had a chance to look at a monster truck up close.
When Gary Bauer first found the Lone Ranger, it was a 1986 Ford short bed Ranger in the salvage yard. Today, it's a $100,000 Ford monster truck. $3,500 a wheel, 20 off-road shocks, a frame he built from scratch, not to mention the 540 cubic inch blown powerhouse under the hood. Why did he build it? He wanted to have the biggest truck on the block. What I want to know is how he gets the gas nozzle up to the gas tank at the fuel station.
And this is round two of the monster trucks. The Lone Ranger, Gary Bauer, Vienna, Ohio. First car out for round two.
It's a 1985 Ford short bed Ranger with a blown 460 Ford motor that he's been nursing so far this evening.
Yes, indeed he has. And here he comes around the dirt, heads for the cars. They've been flattened now from one complete round. The Lone Ranger heading for car number one. Hits it evenly, no problems. Gets a little sideways in midair, but comes all the way over. Does not hesitate or stop. Slowing down now. That's going to cost him time.
As he eases it into gear, he's still nursing that motor.
Yeah, like he's going to have to put the pedal to the metal on this machine if he hopes to make it to the finals. The Lone Ranger across the finish line. Coasts across, looking back at it. A good launch off the line, a little bit sideways in midair. Well, when one of these things flips over, it's a 6 on the Richter scale.
But you can tell they're not getting quite as airborne.
35.29 seconds for the Lone Ranger, the second round. Frankenstein, car number two, Cliff Starbird of, let's see, where is he from?
Mulvane, Kansas.
That's right. Frankenstein comes up to the line. He's got to beat a 35.29. He had problems with the engine in the first round, Margot.
A real jerky run. The motor seemed to be stalling, just not running smooth enough to get a really terrific time.
Old Ford pickup from the 50s.
I'd say that was a smooth getaway.
Yep, good start. Comes around. Frankenstein heads for the cars. Beautiful. Whoa, up in the air. Now remember, this is a real wide tires, about a foot wider than the others. But he stops.
Oh, no.
Oh, what a tough break for Frankenstein. He is stopped.
Carburation problems are something that you run into when these cars get into an inclined position like that. Where's the fuel going to go?
That's right. And suddenly the engine starts for fuel, and he stops. Coming over the cars, no problems. Now is where he has problems. and he is down faster than an Idaho thermometer in January. That's it for Frankenstein. An incomplete run for the yellow Ford. One of the most successful monster trucks ever out of the Northeast, Little Barefoot with Barry Packard. And earlier, Margot had a chance to talk with Barry.
The only representative from the East Coast, Barry Packard from North Conway, New Hampshire. Barry, you're 23 years old. What got you started in monster trucks?
Well, I've always raced my own pickup, and I used to go to the shows and watch the other guys with the monsters, and I was going to build my own into one, and then I came across this truck, which was for sale, and well, I bought it last April.
What's the trick to driving one of these?
Well, straight line's pretty simple. It's an automatic transmission. You just put it in gear and go. It's when you get into your tight turns and using front and rear steering, it gets a little more tricky.
What are your chances up against the Midwest boys?
They're pretty good. The truck's been racing with them for the past 3.5 years, and it's beaten them, and they've beaten the truck. So the truck is capable. It's just a matter of me doing it.
Okay, Barry.
And this is Little Barefoot, a 1982 Chevy S10 pickup, a blown Chevy 454 big block engine, bored out to a 460. He gets off the line. Good, Margot.
Coming out of the first round, he was in third place. Not bad for a guy that less than a year ago, he was sitting up in the stands watching the event. Now he's an owner driver of a monster truck.
He sets it up right, comes over a little bit to the left, almost goes on his side. And yes, these monster trucks do go on their side occasionally, and it's a 6 or 7 on the Richter scale, as we said. He comes around, and Barry Packard is heading for the checkered flag.
Making a nice tight run, cutting a close corner there.
Looking back at it in slow motion, gets up a little bit over to the left. The second round of monster truck competition. And Little Barefoot's time, let's check it now, 29.04 seconds. That's the best time so far in the second round.
And here's Big Toe, the only monster tow truck on the circuit. And earlier, Larry had a chance to talk with the driver.
A fully operational tow truck, monster truck, only Big Toe. Ray Perkowski, St. Louis, Missouri, the owner, the builder. Why a tow truck, monster truck?
Well, it's the only one around, and a lot of the monster trucks, when they break, the only way they can get them off the track is with a dozer. So we figured we'd get a wrecker and take them off with that.
Now, you have a towing business, right?
Yes, in St. Louis.
And you built the truck yourself?
Yes.
What's different about this truck other than the fact that it's a tow truck?
Well, it's 100% operationable, which a lot of people believe about that, but it all works. We'll tow anything.
And you're planning somewhere in the future to tow a car over the other cars?
We're going to tow 1, maybe 2 cars over with us when we're crushing cars.
I've never seen anything like that before.
It'll be done.
How long did it take you to build the truck, Ray?
About 3 years.
And you did a lot of the work yourself?
Yes, I got a full-time mechanic that works on it.
You have got about, what, $100,000 wrapped up in this?
About $100,000 in parts. It's not including labor.
So it's got to be a lot more than that in the labor, because this took a long time.
Oh yeah, but you can't count labor.
What is the toughest thing about driving a monster truck when you actually get in the competition? What's the hardest part?
Mainly it's just controlling it. Coming off the cars, keeping the thing going straight or where you have to go.
Well, I hope you go where you're trying to go tonight.
We'll try to tonight.
It's called Big Toe. Ray Perkowski, the only 100% operational tow truck, monster truck in existence. The time to beat is Little Barefoot's 29.04. A little bit of a slow start there for Big Toe.
Again, he's got a lot of weight to pull around, and he was not a great run in the first round.
And he stalls on the dirt as he tries to come around. They're going to have to time this run with a sundial. He is stopped. He's dead stopped. Oh, what a disappointment for Big Toe. He gets it started again. Comes around off the dirt. But it's almost a foregone conclusion. He is not going to win this round. Let's see. Hits the cars. Good. Strong, hard. Comes over, up, and stalls again.
Oh, no. Insult to injury. He's made another mistake. But you've got to drive these trucks to learn how to do it. And the more experience you get, the better you'll do.
And again, this machine is much, much heavier than the other monster trucks. The winner of this round advances to the final round against Monster Vet. But it looks like it's going to be an incomplete run for Big Toe. Let's take a look back. Whoa, almost goes over completely into the mud. Stall, stopped, and that's it. Good night, Mama. And they are towing Big Toe back to the pits.
And mark up a DNF for Big Toe.
We talked earlier about the dozer having to tow the monster trucks, and here is a perfect example of how that's done. What a terrible ending for Big Toe's run here in the second round.
His name, he was hoping he wouldn't have to be towed himself. Good
look at the four-wheel steering on the monster trucks. Look at the rear wheels steer over there. as they tow him back. Big tow.
Better to be towed back than to have a busted up truck.
This is Nightlife, and this is Dave Wyzorek, the driver. Comes up on the line. Nightlife. He had the second best time earlier, 24.67. Let's see what he can do now. Nightlife.
An aggressive driver. He takes that turn, bouncing around the turn there.
Comes around. He is looking awfully good. Swinging that rear end around. Now hitting the cars, coming over, not slowing down a bit. He keeps the pedal to the metal.
Good thing he had a helmet on. Did you see his head wake, flopping up against the cab there?
Real tight there in the last turn, however. He hits, slams into the dirt. That's going to hurt him. Top brake, looking back at slow motion, the slow motion of Nightlife. I think he might have been across the line, Margot.
That's all he had to do.
Let's take a look at the time. 21.98 seconds for Nightlife. He goes to the final round. That's a fast time. Little Barefoot, 29.04. Lone Ranger, 35.29. And Big Toe and Frankenstein did not finish the runs. Incomplete runs. So Nightlife serves notice. He's the machine to beat. Cliff Starboard, Monster Vet, will go to the final with Dave Wyzorek's Nightlife. Remember that Nightlife's second run was faster than Monster Vet's first run. So the finals, Monster Vet versus Nightlife. We'll be right back with the final round of monster truck competition. It's a battle to the finish between an 84 Chevy Corvette against the 77 Chevy Stepside. A battle to the finish. We're back for the final round of the monster truck competition. Monster Vet versus Nightlife. And there is the crowd favorite tonight. Monster Vet. At least a lot of the people in the stands here in Omaha are cheering for this machine.
He had a little bit of trouble with Frankenstein, but he made it to the finals with his Monster Vet.
That's right. Cliff Starboard owns two machines here tonight, Frankenstein and Monster Vet. And there's a look at the engine. It is a flip-top, funny car, monster vehicle, Monster Vet. And that's a look at the ignition. 454 Chevy with a light show on board. There we go.
Cliff Starboard really is into gearing. He's a 4-speed Allison, and he feels that gearing your car right for these close competition tracks is a key factor. It can make the difference. Not all in the horsepower.
It weighs 6 tons, and he launches those 6 tons off the line and down the straightaway. Slamming left-hand turn. A beautiful run so far, Margot.
Taking that turn without a hitch and gassing it up when he gets in that straight line and into the cars.
Cars have been flattened quite a bit. Now he slams down the last one, comes across the line. The body bouncing around. Monster Vet heading for the checkered flag, and he's got a good run if he can keep it going. And he does across the finish line and up on the dirt. Monster Vet. The crowd likes this too. Look at this. They are responding. I think we might have a new fast time of the night. Looked awfully fast coming down that straightaway. Let's take a look back in slow motion. Comes up, the body bouncing around, Margot.
Gets completely airborne. Even with the cars flat, he took the cars with a head of steam for a time of 21.34 seconds.
That's the fastest time of the night. And there's the light show. The ignition wires light up for Cliff Starboard's Monster Vet.
Boy, and if he's got an engine problem, you could tell if his light show went dim, he'd know he'd had an ignition
You
problem.
can also know where the short was, too. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Neon light show. He waves to the crowd.
The kids love this car. When the Monster Vet's in town, they forget that trucks are monsters, too.
A hydraulic lift body, the Monster Vet. There's a good look at it. So he shuts it down. Now to wait.
A little bit of smoke coming out of there.
Yeah, he's looking at the engine, looking down at that big block Chevy engine. 454. Well, we go now to Nightlife. Now what they're doing now, Margot, is priming the engine, right?
That's right. They've got to shoot sometimes gasoline into these alcohol motors so they will start easy.
Good night. They pour gas into the carburetor to prime him, and he's got fire to the engine. Dave Wyzorek. The time to beat is 21.34 seconds for Nightlife. He's got to beat Monster Vet's time, the fastest time of the night, 21.34 seconds.
Now, Dave does have the advantage. He knows what he's got to do. Judging from his first round time, he knows how hard he's going to have to push it.
Again, the cars have been flattened. That's going to be an advantage. The cars have been flattened. Nightlife coming up on the line, backs up to the line. 1977 Chevy step-side pickup. 454 low fuel injection. He comes up to the line. Now let's see what he does. Dave Wyzorek, Grand Island, Nebraska. Beautiful, beautiful machine. The Sunset Red paint job. It's valued at over $90,000.
And there you can see Doug, the technical director, down by Dave's front wheel there, and he's going to be lining him up to make sure that it's a fair, even start.
What's he doing? Wyzorek is getting out of the car, looks back around at the front end. Do you have any idea what he's looking for?
Just making sure his wheels are lined up, maybe making sure there was no damage from a previous run that he hadn't noticed.
This is Nightlife. He's got to beat Monster Vet. Look at him. Look at him. Cheer on the crowd. Look at him. He says, I can't hear you. And the crowd responds. You wonder if they love Chevy pickups here in Omaha, Nebraska. Be sure that they do.
Doug is giving hand signals, showing him where to stop. When he's completely lined up, Doug's hands come together, and we're ready for the race.
Again, he's got to beat 21.34 seconds of Monster Vet. The crowd leaning forward in anticipation. We are set to go. On the line. When that green flag drops, the clock starts. And that's when he's got to start and rocking off the line. Lines up the rear steering, and there he goes. Comes off the line fine. Comes around, sets up the cars. He's got to straighten up completely, hit the cars, slows down momentarily, comes up and over, and pushes the car out again, and that's a problem. He slows way down.
It was a horse race up to that moment. He had a good start, a great first turn, but when he hit those cars, it just didn't work out for him. Again, coming out of that last turn, slows down, the engine's bucking. I don't think he's done it.
That's going to, I think, cost him the race right there, Margot King. The crowd still likes the run, but unfortunately, they don't judge the clocks. And here, let's look back at it again. And this is where he pushed off the Coney Land. You'll see him push off the end car and push it away.
He just got two sideways in the air for a time of 24.69 seconds.
That's
not good
the
enough.
slowest of the 3 runs for Nightlife tonight. Not a good time at all. So there is Nightlife parking the machine. The winner is Monster Vet, Cliff Starber, the owner and driver, 21.34 seconds. And there goes the light show again. Monster Vet, the winner.
You really have to appreciate the engineering, the fabrication going into these vehicles.
Coming up next, the Dash for Cash and Mud Bog action. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Omaha Civic Auditorium. And now the Z92 Dash for Cash. Larry Huffman and Margot King calling the action. And here's how it works. This is a local radio station, Margot. Z92 has held a promotion on the air and invited contestants to call in to win the chance to get into the mud bog blindfolded. And there are 5 beach balls out there ranging from $50 to $250. And the person who gets the beach ball receives that amount of money. There's a $50 one to the left and $100 to the right. Now, these people actually competed, Margot, for the privilege of doing this.
That's hard to believe, Larry.
It really is. And they're blindfolded. And each one of them has a coach. And the coach is only allowed to say hot, cold, or warm, or stupid. When they call them when they go out there. No, actually, it's hot, cold, or warm is what they will call them. And they are blindfolded, can't see. And these guys are serious. Here we go. Z92, Dash for Cash. And then they go into the mud. The large lady going first. And here's another man, and he's almost down. They're both down. Look at this. Here's another guy. He's going to the beach ball. Into the mud. Fighting their way through the mud, the blood, the beer. Here at the Omaha Civic Auditorium. Look at these guys. Now, their coaches are yelling at them. They're trying to find the balls. And here's this one guy who's going off nowhere, and this other guy has run into the railing, and the woman is going after him, totally confused. Look at this, going for $250 first prize. And here's the one, he's got the $250. The one fellow has $250, but the rest of them are in the mud. Now he's got to get out of there. He's lost his blindfold. He's trying to find it to stay in the game. This man actually did this. He qualified to do this. Can you believe this? Look at this. Ladies and gentlemen, a perfect example of what happens when first cousins intermarry. The Z92 Dash for Cash. Margot, don't leave me. Here's a poor girl covered with mud. Look, she's trying to find it. Her coach screaming at her. The blonde to the left is screaming at her. She's got a $50 one. Now here's a man. Holy Toledo, look at this guy. He is just covered with mud. Get the tide out. He's wobbling around. He's tired. The other girl is exhausted. Here, he's almost got the ball. His coach is calling, turn around, turn around. The crowd completely into it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is cultural activity here. And he got the ball. He got his hands on the ball.
I think she's bartering with him to maybe trade.
He's got a $50 ball. I'm not sure what she's got. Look at this. And the blonde is still yelling at her friend. Stuck in the mud. The Dash for Cash. They actually tried to qualify to do this, ladies and gentlemen. They are not, this is not a form of punishment. They actually qualified to do this with a local radio station. The Z92 Dash for Cash. Man is losing his pants. He's happy. Now, there's a $50 ball left, and they're trying to get somebody turned around there to find it.
We've obviously lost a contestant somewhere.
Well, here, this beautiful young lady to the right, here she is. She's I'm going to make it, she says. Give me time. She's a little tired. More than a little.
Is she bogged down?
I think she is bogged down, Margot. But she's trying to make her way through the mud, bog. She's in about 3 feet of mud. And here, the crowd is cheering her on, ladies and gentlemen. They're saying, come on. They're standing and cheering, and she's not going to go for it. Look at her. Oh, and her coach is telling her, and she finally takes off takes off the mask. The crowd is yelling at her, put the mask back on.
I think they ought to give her that beach ball
I think so,
anyway.
Too. They're going to put a tow rope around her and try to tow her out.
She is literally stuck.
She's
Larry.
stuck.
No
She's stuck
joke.
in the mud. They're getting the tow truck out. They're trying to figure out a way to get her. Here comes another contestant in to help her. They're going to try to pull this poor young lady out. She is literally stuck in the mud. She can't get out.
Big Toe's first job.
This girl, it would take 2 pennies to weigh her. Let me tell you that right now. But she is stuck.
You can tell she's really concerned about the beach ball. Get that thing away. I just want to get out of here.
Now the crowd cheering her on, saying, come on, let's get the tow truck out, and let's see if we can pull her out.
I think she redefines the term good sport. What do you think?
I think so, Margot. She is actually literally stuck. The other contestants are trying to pull her out. We may be stuck here all night, ladies and gentlemen, trying to get this poor unfortunate lady out of the mud. Jerry Devine, the announcer, extolling the crowd to cheer on. She's, at least the crowd is loving it. Where else, ladies and gentlemen, but in America, in Omaha, Nebraska, could you see a crowd cheer for a rather large lady stuck in the mud? And there they've got her out of the mud. Ladies and gentlemen, they're lifting her out of the mud. Holy Toledo. She'll never forget this night, folks. There she is, crawling out of the mud. And there's Ken Donay pulling her out, and she rolls out of the mud pit. She rolls out, but she makes it. The crowd goes crazy, standing and cheering. Welcome back to the United States Hot Rod Association Battle of the Monster Trucks and Mud Bog Drag Racing Spectacular. I'm Larry Huffman along with Margot King calling the action. This is the main event of the Mud Boggers, the open class. Run what you brung, no limit on displacement, no limit on machine. And they can run any kind of tires they want. And the crowd here has been waiting all evening long for this one. The modifieds, yes, but these are the open class machines. And it is the Silver Bullet out of Neola, Iowa, Don King, the driver, 30 years old, petroleum manager in Iowa. He's been racing for 12 years. Started mud bogging 12 years ago on kind of a part-time basis. This is a home-built Ford 514 cubic inches on nitrous oxide. It weighs just under 3,000 pounds. A port-injected nitrous, one carburetor, versus the fuel-injected competition. Got completely solid suspension in the rear. No shocks, no suspension, no springs at all in the rear. Look at this thing. Aluminum body, and there he goes, and he's going for it. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. All the way through. Oh, look out! And he goes up against the nets and almost into our broadcast booth as Cindy, our statistician, heads for the door. And I'm not kidding, that scared her.
That net caught him by one front wheel, Larry. Almost missed it. His eyes were real big.
Let's watch again. Take a look at him. Look at him come off the line, Margot. Spewing rooster tails of mud in the air. Look at him splashing through. Going for the goal. This guy is on the gas. He makes it through in 4.08 seconds. That's not bad on dry land, and he's going through about a 6-foot mud pit there. Look at him. Look at the chassis flex. The engine go up and down. Now he's fighting to stop it. He's heading for the nets. Catches the left front wheel in the nets. Locks up the brakes, and he stops. Woo! Let's talk about Mr. Toad's wild ride. Cindy, okay? She heads for the door and leaves Margot and I on the microphone looking at the front end of that big Ford. This is the Magnum Mudder open-class mud bog machine. It's a 1932 Ford powered by a 454 Chevy engine, bored out to 472 cubic inches, fuel injected, running on alcohol. Margot, this guy's serious.
And the tread pattern on that tire, he's got a lot of serious cleats to get traction on.
Valued at over $25,000. Tractor treads built by Firestone Tires, the Magnum Mudder. Oh, look out! 454 looks like a blown 454. Fuel injected and blown. I could be mistaken, but that's what it looks like. As those stacks open up, and here he goes. Trying to beat 408. He's got the gas. And he's through it. And heading for the... Oh, he's into the net, and the net stops him and holds. Whoa, mama! Here's the start again. Look at four-wheel drive, spewing the rooster tails in the air, rocking and rolling down through the mud. 3.97 seconds all the way through. A beautiful job of driving by Rick Payne of Persia, Iowa. There he goes into the net. Now that's the net that they're using. He locks the brakes up and slams into the net. This is the River Rat. Billy Sharp, the driver, and an interesting background. He's a deputy sheriff, Margot.
These guys have to have a real job. There's some money in this racing, but not enough to make a living on.
Billy Sharp has been racing for 13 years. It's a 1934 Dodge pickup running a 460 cubic inch Chevy on alcohol, fuel injected. This thing is going to haul itself down the line. Let's see what he does. Here's a start. The River Rat. Billy Sharp, a deputy sheriff from Plattsmouth, Nebraska. And here he goes. And he bogs down and does not make it through.
He's really at a disadvantage with that shorter wheelbase, and he's opting for those tractor-style tires. They spare no expense when it comes to customizing. He's got a red tinted Lexan windshield there he's peering through.
And here they go towing him out, the River Rat. That's a good idea, earplugs for that little child, because the ground and the walls vibrate when these big machines start up. And this is the Old Red Rocket of Tom Baldabuck of Seward, Nebraska. This is a 1932 Ford Victoria body, and he said it's a real body from a 32 Ford with a Chevy small block engine, alcohol fuel injected. And there are the tires, the all-important tires.
Tom's 37 years old. That makes him the veteran of the entire field here tonight. He's been racing for 9 years.
Used to drag race a car that was named the Old Red Rocket, and when he got into mud bogging, he kept the name. He's in gear. Safety cable hooked up to the back. And here we go, the Old Red Rocket. Blasting down through the mud, and he makes it all the way. He's got it. Hooks up and goes right into the nets. So the Old Red Rocket makes it all the way through. Tom Baldabuck of Seward, Nebraska, 37 years old. Another look at it. Front wheels skip across the mud. Margot, he's got a good one. 5.68 seconds all the way through. Third fastest so far.
Now the racers have an option to pick their lines at the starting gate, so he can opt to start into somebody else's tracks or pick his new line.
The Old Red Rocket, 5.68 seconds. And this is Magnum Force, one of the overwhelming favorites because he is yet to lose a U.S. Hot Rod Association Open Class mud bog. These guys are serious, Margot King.
A Chevy alcohol fuel injected with a little field blower. This is without a doubt the most powerful motor in the field.
1,750 horsepower, ladies and gentlemen, fed through a turbo 400 automatic transmission. These are brothers, Perry and Kurt Fisher, out of Jefferson City, Missouri.
Now, they only have 3 years of experience under their belt, but when it comes to sophistication and equipment, they hit the field. This is a highly technical frame situation they've put together, their main objective, and they realize that no matter how fast their motor may be, if they can't get that horsepower to the rear wheels, it doesn't do them any good.
Whoa, mama, the ground is shaking as Kurt Fisher checks his straps. Gets set, checks the neck brace, the neck safety brace there, and he comes up on the line. Magnum Force, and it is indeed that. Where we just got, Nitro Express has been scratched. Here's Magnum Force, here's the start. Look at this guy go! He is heading through the mud and heading for the wall! And slows it down right before he hits that net. And he thinks he's won this thing, and the crowd agrees. They are standing and cheering this young man from Jefferson City, Missouri. Look at him. 3.17 seconds. And it is almost a full second off the fastest time. Another look at it, ladies and gentlemen. A record-setting run. Look at the front wheels come off the ground.
The objective is to keep that car planed up, just like a boat taking off in the water, because they got to keep those front wheels high and just skimming along the top, and all the drive and horsepower is done to that rear end.
Look at the body up and down, Margot. He's through it now. He's slamming on the brakes. Look, he's locked up all four wheels to try to avoid this concrete wall right in front of him.
And it worked.
It worked. Thank goodness. Whoa. All right, here is another one of the favorites. This is the Chalco Express of Chalco, Nebraska. Bill Stark, the Stark brothers. 29 years old, has been racing for 3 years. He's in construction. This is a 454 Chevy-powered home-built special with a Pro Fogger Nitro system and nitrous oxide, 467 cubic inches Chevy. Army military automatic transmission.
Even those wheels were hand-built. They split regular truck tires in half, added a spacer in the middle to make them oversized. This is a labor of love.
He's got to beat 3.17 Margot Magnum Force, and here he goes. The Chalco Express, and he's gets sideways. That's going to cost him. He's off the track into the deep mud. Oh, the Chalco Express gets off into the deep, sticky stuff, and he is not going to set any speed records. He's going to make it through. The ground is vibrating, ladies and gentlemen. It feels like a 7.0 on the Richter scale, but he's through. Let's look at the standings at this point. Magnum Force, a 3.17 in the lead. Second is Magnum Mutter with 397. Then third would be Don King's Silver Bullet with 461. Something Black, too, the name, as he comes up on the line. 29 Ford Model A body with a 465 Chevy and nitrous oxide. Let's see what happens. Here we go. He launches off the line fast. Now drifts way down, but he makes it through. Yes! He's got it all the way through. Whoa. This is Keith Addison, the owner-driver. It's a 1947 Willys Funny Car. 427 Chevrolet running a nitrous oxide and alcohol. Square tube frame, home-built chain drive transfer case. More economical, a chain drive rather than gear transfer case. Fuel-altered dragster. Keith Addison, the owner and builder. He's out of Dewey, Oklahoma. Look at the little headlights painted on the front. He's going for it. Look out, mama. Here we go. And he's through it. Beautiful. Oh, he's completely into the net. Let's take another look at it. Keith Addison. The Dewey, Oklahoma high-anxiety machine. Look at him rocking and rolling through the mud. Front wheels lifting on the top, coming back down, up again, and he launches himself across that finish line. Now he's supposed to shut down. Let's see if he locks the wheels up. He's through it completely. And into the net, and his time, 3.35 seconds. He has gone into second. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Mud bog drag racing action right after this. The United States Hot Rod Association Battle of the Monster Trucks and Mud Bog Drag Racing Spectacular, and this is the main event. And there is Magnum Force, one of the two machines qualifying for the main events. Set the fastest time, 3.17. Let's see if he can beat that. 3.17 seconds. The two brothers who own and drive this, Kurt Fisher, the driver, and his brother Perry Fisher, who kind of runs the PR and negotiates for sponsor and everything. He says, I'm not as kamikaze as Kurt, so Kurt does the driving. And the Del-Amy Corporation, Kurt's son Devin and Perry's daughter Amy. Here we go. Whoa! Mama! Sideways into the net! Almost. It was 3:29 for Magnum Force. 12 1/100ths of a second slower than his first run. But as you pointed out, Margot, that could be due to the mud. And the more difficult...
No doubt it is due to the mud.
Well, more difficult to get through that mud. Let's watch the start. Margot, take a look at that. He comes off the line real good. Launches perfectly.
But then his front end drops down probably a lot more than he really wanted to. Optimally, they want to keep that front end planing pretty near the whole length of the track. And that definitely ate up time for him.
Look at him wrestle that wheel. He gets through the finish line and starts slamming on the binders.
Don't want to get too sideways or he'd be flipping into the net.
That's right. This is High Anxiety, a funny car mud bog machine. Putting out 1,200 horsepower, something like that, in the neighborhood of 1,200 horsepower. Weighing 2,180 pounds.
Now, Keith pointed out because his motor does not run as cool as Magnum Force. He can get 20 runs out of his motor, where Magnum Force can get up to 40 runs out of their motor.
Might point out that that means they have 40 runs or 20 runs, and they have to completely rebuild the engine. Monster Chevy 427 engine, running on nitrous oxide, which increases the atmosphere that is burned. It's got to beat 329. This is High Anxiety. Keith Addison, Dewey, Oklahoma.
And he may be experiencing a little bit of that right now.
That's right. The crowd responding to Jerry Devine. And here we go. He's all over the track, but keeping it relatively straight. Sideways. Look out. He goes into the net sideways and almost rolls it into our broadcast booth. Whoa! The crowd loves it. Let's get the time. For High Anxiety, he's got to beat 329. Now remember, Magnum Force has never lost. Let's find out. 3:54 for High Anxiety, and Magnum Force wins again. Don't go away. We'll be back with more exciting mud bog drag racing action right after these messages.
It came down to a shootout, but in the end, Magnum Force and the driver, Kurt Fisher, won the open class truck division tonight. Now, you've got one of the most sophisticated trucks on the circuit. Is that what made the difference?
Well, we've had a lot of different ways of going. Our car is quite a bit heavier than most any car we race against, which is a disadvantage, but we have to have a little bit more motor to do such a thing. So we put a little more motor in it, and it's working.
Now, is it true that you're undefeated to this point?
As of right now, we are. So we're just going to keep running like we are, and hopefully we won't have any trouble and stay undefeated.
Well, congratulations. It's a great run, and there's nothing tougher than staying number one.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, an extra added attraction, the Lone Ranger. Now, that is pronounced Lone, but it is spelled L-O-N. We were calling it Lone Ranger earlier. It is the Lone Ranger of Gary Bauer. Has decided to give this crowd here at the Omaha Civic Auditorium a treat. He is going to go through the mud bog. Look at those tires, $2,500 a piece.
Now, keep in mind, he has got a real powerful motor under that hood, but it's not designed to pass the RPMs that our drag trucks are.
It's designed to go over cars and fresh cars. And here he goes, into the mud. The Lone Ranger, thinking it's going to be embarrassing if he doesn't, but he does. The Lone Ranger, he throws our flagman off the track. He jumps for his life, and he makes it through, and the crowd is giving him a standing ovation. Look at this. The Lone Ranger, the crowd loves him. I think he is asking what his time was. We've not got it yet here in the broadcast booth. Here it is, 8.77 seconds. Compares to 3:29, the best time for Magnum Force, but it's just as spectacular to see him go through, and the crowd loves him. There's the replay of the Lone Ranger. Look at those tires. $10,000 worth of tires, $2,500 a piece, throwing up the giant rooster tails of mud. Rocking and rolling through it all the way. $100,000 truck.
And it looks like the Chevrolet driven by Barry Packard has taken up the challenge from the crowd. He's going to see if the Chevy can beat the Ford's time.
Barry Packard, the driver of Little Barefoot. He's the owner driver. He's going to come out and he's going to go through the mud.
You can't imagine what a sacrifice this is for these boys to get their trucks this dirty.
They clean them with toothbrushes. They get in every crevice, every indentation of the truck and clean it out to make it look as good as possible when they come out to perform. But by golly, Barry Packard says, I'm going to do it. He's got a 460 cubic inch Chevy on gasoline. It's a very dangerous thing for them to do because they run the risk of breaking apart or any one of the parts on these $100,000 machines. Nobody's leaving. The crowd is stuck to their seats. They want to see the monster trucks go through the mud. This is Barry Packard.
And what's the time he's got to beat, Larry?
Well, if we're battling the monster trucks, 8.77 seconds for the Lone Ranger. Right, 8.77 seconds for the Lone Ranger. Well, let's see what happens. These guys not competitive at all, are they?
Well, it depends on, you know, what they're running against. In their class, they're pretty competitive.
There's the light show running in the grill of Little Barefoot. He comes up on the line. They've not hooked the safety cable up to him. I guess they don't have a place to hook it. They're not hooking it up to him. And here he goes. Whoa! Up, fight! Look at that! Can he beat 8.77 seconds? He gets through and makes it. And covered with mud. Let's see the clock. Little Barefoot, Chevy powered against the Ford. And the time, 9.14 seconds.
Close, very close.
Very close, about a half second slower than the Lone Ranger.
Oh, look at the disappointment.
And the Lone Ranger takes the victory. So Magnum Force, the Lone Ranger, and Monster Vet, the stars of the action here tonight at the Omaha Civic Auditorium. Margaret, was a wild night.
Terrific competitors. They're all great sports. They're serious. They're determined. But one thing did bother me, Larry.
What's that, Margot?
You stayed entirely too clean.
From the Omaha Civic Auditorium, I'm Larry Huffman along with Margot King. Thanks for joining us for the U.S. Hot Rod Association Battle of the Monster Trucks and Mud Bog Drag Racing Spectacular. Thanks for being with us.